Hello, everyone! I'm very, very sorry for this slower live stream than planned. My internet was down, but we are now here and it's all good. I'm here with Andrea Morgan, who did possibly the coolest entry for the Slater Countdown Challenge that I've seen. If you haven't seen it, it's kind of Jurassic Park themed. There's draggable dinosaurs, there's an explosion when the countdown timer ends, and just loads of really cool elements that I thought would be worth exploring on this live stream. So, Andrea, thank you so much for joining me.
Hey, Jack. Thank you for having me. I'm really happy to be here.
Yeah, I'm so glad to talk to you. And you're currently in a co-working space right now in sunny Mexico, if I'm not mistaken.
Very, very sunny. Yeah.
It is. It looks absolutely beautiful. In Buenos Aires, where I am, it's freezing. So very jealous. But talking of sunny, you made this crazy cool project, and let's start off by showing everyone the project. So, do you want to just share your screen and just talk us through how you came across the idea of even like using this Jurassic Park theme and like why you did it?
Sure thing. Let's see how I do that. Okay, here it is.
And hello to anyone that's watching live as well. We've got a couple of people watching. Hey, ask any questions if you guys want while Andrea's getting that up, because I'm sure there'll be things where you'll be like, "Wait, what? How did you do that?" And we can talk about that. And I'm just going to add the shared screen. So Andrea, take us away.
Okay, are we good? Are you looking at my screen?
We're good. We can see your screen.
Cool. So yeah, here are the dinos. Well, the first thing is that when I heard about the countdown, the final countdown, to be honest, the first thing that came to mind, besides the music in my head, was the meteorite, like like dinosaurs, waiting for a meteorite to fall. So here it is. You can see a little meteorite with a countdown on your left top side of the screen.
Mm-hmm.
So, to be honest, what I wanted to do at first was to make the meteorite to move towards the Earth until the countdown. So, in theory, it should move a little bit every day. But of course, I wasn't able to accomplish that. So, the best I could do was just to move it a little bit closer and getting bigger every 20 days. So if you come here around when the countdown is down to 60, you're going to see the meteorite a little bit bigger and a little bit closer.
Awesome.
Yeah. Not so practical, but my skills weren't that good, obviously. So yeah, another thing is that I didn't want to do anything on Webflow. Like I could accomplish so much more using like Webflow interactions and stuff. But I mean, the challenge was to use Slater, so that's why things are not so great. So I basically use Slater for everything. Um, so yeah, we got the meteorite was the first decision to make. I spent basically all my Saturday trying to make the movement that I mentioned before with no avail. So I just stopped at the 20 days thing. So that's the first thing I use later for. Then when the meteorite actually crashes into the earth, that's when the countdown is finished. I decided to make a button for the spoiler because we don't want to wait until that happens, right? So,
Yeah.
so yeah, that's the spoiler button right at the top right. So yeah, I wanted this to happen. I mean, I wanted the meteorite to move and then explosion and everything, but as I mentioned before, my skills are not that good. So basically, this is just what happens, and yeah. So after the meteorite thing, and because we were all just waiting and staring at the screen, and I was watching, I think, Caparza's video about about dragging things with
Mm.
JavaScript and Slater. So I just thought, yeah, let's make these dinosaurs draggable, And that was pretty easy. I think that was the easiest thing. So I was trying to play a little bit with that. And as you can see, I don't know if you notice, you cannot drag Blue, the velociraptor over here. And it says, yeah, you cannot mess with her. So that was just me playing, with the draggable thing. And well, besides that, uh, yeah, you can move them around, and that's pretty much it. um, so yeah, so meteorite, the spoiler button, and the draggable dinos, and the last thing was the marquee at the bottom with the scrolling text. Again, I could have done this using Webflow and probably just animations, but I wanted to accomplish this with Slater and JavaScript, which actually I think at the end it was more CSS animations triggered by JavaScript. Um,
Mm.
so yeah, that was basically it. I mean, I could go
Wow.
deeper on all my attempts to making the meteorite move, but that would just be boring. I think Slater hates me by now because yeah, I tried. I tried so many questions and so many prompts, and yeah, we just couldn't agree at anything. So,
You and Slater just didn't get on. Okay, that's
yeah,
so
I know.
interesting though. So, I mean, in terms of just to rewind a bit then. So, for anyone that's watching, like you're not coming from a traditional code background, as I understand it.
Mm, to be honest, yes and no. I mean, I for 12 plus years I did like website mockups, just like HTML, CSS, all made with Bootstrap, and yeah, I did use a lot of JavaScript libraries. The most common ones: jQuery, uh, Parallax, and I don't know, sliders and lightboxes. But I don't think I ever wrote like a line of JavaScript code like from zero. I did manage to adapt like all the little scripts for my needs, but no, I do not know how to write JavaScript.
That's really interesting though, because I think a lot of the users that are getting the most out of Slater, they have an understanding of how code works, right? Like they can read, they can understand what Slater's giving them enough to manipulate it. So it's interesting that you had like that base level. But then, I mean, just what you've achieved in such a short amount of time just goes to show how much more you can do with the assistance of an AI powered tool like Slater. So it's really impressive what you've done in such a short space of time. And in terms of kind of, is this your first Slater project then? This is like the first thing you've done in Slater.
Yes, yes, it is. If you remember, I I didn't have the time to
Oh
get to
yeah,
the
you
first day
messaged on.
challenge.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
that was me
remember
like
now.
10 minutes before. Like, can you give me access?
Yeah.
Yeah, so no, that's another thing that I think it's pretty important. I, I didn't know how to use Slater. I didn't watch like lots of tutorials or anything before. So I actually discovered like the pages feature right at the end when I was almost finished, because I was doing everything on the same page and I just copied and pasted, and yeah, it was total chaos, like total chaos.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, I figured that out at the end.
I mean, if I may say, I am the one responsible for making sure that people understand all the different features of Slater. So it's really, really useful feedback. If anyone's watching, by the way, and is thinking the same thing in the chat, you're like, Slater seems cool, but I don't really know all the different things that Slater's doing. Message me. I'd love to know what what you guys want to see from the marketing of Slater, and certainly the features I need to do a better job of. Like, I was thinking of filming little clips and then just sharing them on social every day, just to be like, did you know that this feature existed in Slater? Because I think there's being features like added very, very fast at the moment, and we need to communicate them better. But thank you for sharing that. That's really, really helpful. Okay, now can we dive into Slater just so we can have a little look at how you used it, because it's so interesting for me when you can see what people are actually writing to get the outcomes that they want, and then how much you used your coding background versus how much you just asked Slater for everything. Would that be all right if we had a look at that?
Okay, just let me figure out how do I change tabs for the.
Oh, well, what I could do
Okay, I'm just
is
gonna stop sharing and then share
remove
again.
screen share. Absolutely, yeah, that's fine. If anyone who's watching has any questions, by the way, feel free to ask away. I have got a gazillion questions for Andrea, so it's not like an issue, but because I'm interested in this project. But yeah, if anyone has anything, do ask. Um,
Okay, I
and
think we're on
actually,
Slater now.
sorry, yeah, I'll add your screen to the StreamYard.
Okay. So after the zillion questions, dumb questions that I asked Slater, this was the result. So yeah, I went for like the super basic countdown. I didn't want to mess with the time zones and everything because I saw all the trouble you guys got into before. So I was like, no, that's way out of my league. So yeah, just the normal one.
Yeah.
And I think that was the first prompt. And after that, it was, what is this? The countdown, more countdown. Oh yeah. So this whole thing, this wasn't Slater. That was me. Because I asked for
Ah.
the. Yeah, so I think I asked something like, could you please make this element uh, change its position to this and this, and change this width and height to this and that when the countdown reaches 60 days or something like that. So I think it just gave me this, and then I just copy and paste and change all the values, and that was it. I know this is not the way you're supposed to do it, but I try like trying to make this more practical and automated that I couldn't. I wasn't able to do it. So I just copied and pasted it all.
Okay, that makes
Yeah.
complete sense. I mean, I think sometimes
You seem like
people
you
are
have
like,
questions about this.
no, I'm just intrigued. So it's interesting that a lot of people feel like they're using Slater wrong. Like the amount of times on live streams, people have been like, "Yeah, you're probably not meant to use it like this," but and I kind of think you need to use the tool however best you want to use it. Like for example with Figma, people might not use auto layout and all of that stuff, but they might just want to put ideas down and just do something kind of scrappy. And that's how they're using Figma, and that's what they're getting the most out of the tool for the purpose that they want to use it for. And vice versa with Slater, there might be um, you might prompt it only a few times before manually then coding things, just because that's how you're more comfortable, or because the exact bit of code that you're looking for rather than asking Slater for it. Like Jared, who's a really experienced coder who actually like built this product, he does a lot of stuff manually. like he doesn't want to ask Slater for every little thing because he kind of knows it. So there's no need to apologize for using Slater however you use it, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, yeah, totally. I agree. Just saying because you spend so much time with this AI that you feel like he hates you now.
Yeah, it's a bit
It's
like
fine.
cutting
I was
your own
actually
hair.
apologizing to him at the end. Like, I'm so sorry. This
Sorry,
is still not
Slater.
working.
You got to be
Yeah,
polite
he
to the
was so nice
robots, though.
though. Yeah, he was really nice about it. So kudos for that. uh, okay, yeah. So let's go back here. I think after that, trigger animation. Yeah, this is the function we created for the spoiler button. So yeah, there's nothing is moving there. It's just display flex, display none. You know, the little image of the explosion, and I think that's basically it. And then it goes to the Webflow background, with the sign. And I also use the fireworks um, library. At first, I wanted to use the one you used, the confetti one, and I couldn't get that going. I don't know why. It was just like error after error, and I said, okay, let's try fireworks, and that worked. It's a different library
Okay.
though, but
Is that
yeah.
fireworks.js? Is that one that I've just put in the chat?
I think it is.
Fireworks.js.
Sorry, I try so many things that I'm so confused right now.
Hey, that's
But
totally fine. That's a library that I think looks very similar to the one. I mean, it looks pretty much the same. So that is one library, and then the other one is confetti.js, which I'll also put in the chat while you're talking.
yeah, that one. So I think that's it for this page. The meteorite stuff. At the end, it's just like the trigger, for the button. And after that, here's the happy on our dinosaur function. And
Love that name.
yeah, I do. I love commenting things, and I love to put weird things on comments. So yeah, this is just like the thing I basically stole from um, Caparzo's video. Well, I asked Slater for this, and this was pretty simple and easy. So yeah, this was just it, and then I did this for blue, just for the little alert to say it's disabled. So
Okay,
yeah,
so
this was actually pretty simple.
this is for the T-Rex in the bottom left of the design where you try and drag her and
Yeah, the
and then
Velociraptor. Yeah.
but sorry, not a T-Rex at all. I got to get my dinosaurs together, and then it will say,
Yeah.
yeah, Blue does whatever she wants. Don't mess with her. Love that. Okay, awesome little touch there.
Yeah, for a little Jurassic Park fans over there. So this was it, and the last thing was the little marquee at the bottom. Yeah, simple marquee. That's it. Yeah, I also
Awesome.
tried so many things for this. I cannot even remember which one I used at the end, but yeah, this is it. This was pretty simple too. Yeah, I think I spent the most of my time working on the meteorite stuff, but yeah, I don't know if you want to go back to that one or if we're good with this.
Yeah, no, I'm intrigued to see the meteorite because I feel like that in my head seems like the thing that would be the easiest thing to do out of all the things you've shown us. But what you're saying is it seems to be the hardest. Is that right?
Yeah, it was. When I was trying different things, uh, I was thinking, okay, so I want this to move. So I need to tell Slater, like, okay, so move this thing inside of the viewport for the duration of the remaining time. Oh, I shouldn't say like that. Of the duration of the remaining time of the countdown.
That is literally maybe what you should have said. Okay.
Yeah, I don't think I did that. Okay, anyways, so yeah, so I wanted to ask that. But then I said, okay, and how are you going to test this? Because you're not going to wait here 80 days to see if the meteorite moves just a pixel every second or whatever. So I just changed thing to make it. I think it was like every minute. Like every minute, the countdown decreases. Just
Mm.
move it a little bit, whatever. And I actually got that thing working. But then when I refreshed, it started all over again. So that's when I said, like, okay, I'm done with this. I'm not. Yeah, I like to pick my battles, and this is not one I want to pick. So yeah, that was it. Because I mean, it. I don't know how do you do that? How do you make like the countdown, like the thing move to moving, like even if you refresh? I don't know. It was too much for me.
See, I think this might be to do with the time at the top. So because I tried to do, so I'm not a developer, but I tried to use Slater to do like a simple countdown clock within um, Slater. So I said, I want a countdown clock that counts down from now to this date, um, in EDT time, da 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 da. And I did it like I just asked Slater for the code, and it gave me that code. When I spoke to Jared about this, though, who is the maestro, I mean, he's the guy. He used, or he talked about using this thing called odometer.js, which he basically said was way easier. I'll put it in the chat just in case anyone wants to have a look at it. Essentially, it just meant, I think, Slater's to do things dependent on time is just it's better to use a JS library, according to Jared. So if anyone had a go at this challenge and was like, first hurdle, really struggling to actually get the timer working, that seems to have been a big point where a lot of people struggled, and maybe that is affecting the time to distance of this meteor as well, because yeah, if Slater doesn't know like what the time actually like how the time works in terms of how do all the numbers relate to distance, then it may well have struggled.
Yep.
So yeah, don't know if that
So
helps, but that's my 2 cents on it. That's where I think maybe there was difficulty.
yeah, well, I might as well try it sometime just to get that over with. But
Yeah, why not? If I just show people, because if anyone's like, what is this odometer.js thing? I'm just going to remove that and then add that. It's pretty cool, this. You can basically have um, all sorts of different setups and layouts. So like if you've got different time zones, if you want a kind of casino-y like numbers effect, or all sorts of different bits and bobs. There's a lot of cool stuff in here, so I recommend checking that out if you guys are wanting to play around with time in the future. And just as a more general thing as well, um, Jared. I'm just going to parrot what Jared says because he's the man, and I don't know anything. But he basically talks about how yes, you can just ask Slater for you can ask Slater for information or particular code from different JS libraries. Like, can you give me the code for fireworks.js or whatever? But he says it's actually a lot better to go to that specific source and then copy the CDN direct from here, because it's going to be the most updated version, right? Because Slater might just get whatever, and it might not be the most up to date. Whereas if you go directly to the website to actually get, whatever JS library you want to get, you're going to be better off. So yeah, I hope that's a helpful tip for anyone who's watching as well.
Yeah, actually, about that, it did happen to me when I was looking, I think, for the fireworks.
Mhm.
First, I asked Slater, and like 2 or 3 times, it gave me like a wrong CDN, like it didn't exist anymore. So yeah,
I
at the
had
end,
the
I
same.
was actually, yeah, I was looking for it, and I told him like, oh, could you please use this one? He was like, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, for sure.
sure. Still
Just
you,
with the little
very annoying.
hands. You're giving
Yeah.
Slater its own personality. I think the more you use Slater, the more you like you give it like its own personality. It's really, really funny how like
Yeah,
you
for
become
sure.
friends with this robot. It's really weird.
Yeah,
Um,
it's pretty weird.
it is kind of odd, but I feel like, hey, maybe in a few years' time, it's just going to be completely normal to have robot friends, which is kind of scary. So Andrea, what are you now looking to build with Slater? I'm very intrigued that you've just built this crazy Jurassic Park countdown clock, and are you like, how, is Slater going to fit into your workflow now, or is there anything that you're looking to build with it?
Yep, for sure. Yes. I think I already used it in one of my jobs project. But I think the thing that I'm looking for most is to actually use it in my Webflow projects. But now this time, obviously using Webflow more, and just for those little things that you can just get Webflow to do. That because I don't know how to write to write it. It's just like, hey, Slater, could you give me this? Boom. Maybe just like simple things that I I don't know why, but rather trust Slater than just going to, I don't know, Stack Overflow or whatever and and just stealing someone else's. I think that will be the fittest way for me to use Slater.
Yeah, it's interesting how different people are using it. Like, there's some stuff that in Webflow is just really annoying to do, like sliders. And people might just literally do like, okay, need a slider, get swiper.js, sort that in Webflow, and then sort that in Slater, and then you've got a slider ready to go um, in your Webflow project. Um, and you might just use Slater for those little things, right? Whereas other people are like there's this guy called Josiah Duenas who's made the maddest project, and to be honest, I was like mind blown. He's got like Wiz, and he's got this thing called Mapbox, and it links to his Webflow project, and he's using Slater, and it's interesting to see the different types of use cases. But a lot of people are using it for just small things like that. So yeah, I completely understand where you're coming from. Um, question: You know, you seem to have used Slater with loads and loads of prompts. Do you have any advice for anyone that's watching that's like, how do I prompt Slater to give me what I need? Like, I think it's quite a strange thing to write prompts, and I've found that writing them in like baby language is kind of what you need to do. But do you have any advice for anyone watching about prompt writing and getting the best out of Slater?
Yes. So I think, yeah, baby writing, it's accurate. uh, to be honest, if I didn't watch like some Slater videos before, I that would be even more difficult for me. How should I ask this? I try to use the little I know about code. Like, okay, think. So ask for a specific element, ask for an ID for a class, for this and that, ask all of those details and try to make it as simple as possible, and baby steps, yeah, like this thing first. And maybe, okay, so you got this prompt, you got your answer, ask him to add this or that, but just as simple as possible. Because if you're like me and you don't know how things work, yeah, you're gonna be lost, and Slater's gonna be lost, and you're not gonna get anywhere. So yeah, I think the simplest the better. And
Yeah,
maybe don't
really.
say please and thank you.
Wait, don't say please and thank you. What do you mean? You
That's
gotta be
up to you.
nice. Yeah, I say please and thank you because when the robots take over, you know. But but no, that's really really good advice. So essentially, what you're saying is don't write massive prompts. It's gonna confuse Slater. Just give like okay, I want this bit done. Boom. Next bit, I'd like you to add da da da. Boom. And I found just like you when I was like, dear Slater, I need da 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 da," and it's like an essay. Slater's just like, man, I don't know what you're talking about. So just yeah, try and be like methodical when asking prompts, and you know, get bit by bit to ensure that you get the right code for your project. And another question:
Yeah.
when you were using Slater, you said you discovered pages after well, like you were like, oh, there's this functionality I didn't even know existed. Um, can I add your Slater project back to the screen? And can you just show us around like what you found really, really helpful in Slater? Because I'd be really intrigued to know how you're using it and if there's anything that you maybe don't know about that I should share on the screen now.
Yeah, for sure. Actually, the pages feature, I think I discovered it because I went back to a video on YouTube that's later, and I
Mm.
was like, oh, why are they moving like from page to page? And like, oh, pages. There you go. So yeah, that's how I discovered it. I'm not saying it's like bad UX. As I told you, I didn't actually research anything before. So I found the clear chat very useful because once again I didn't know about pages, so I had like an enormous amount of code, and most of it I didn't need it. So I was just like, okay, I'm gonna copy this and then I'm gonna start over. And I had my block notes like full of code like this is useful, this is not. And I also copied my questions, like all the prompts that was useful I copied and then I just pasted back and asked later again. It was a chaos. I'm sorry. I'm gonna stop apologizing. But yeah, so the clear chat thing for me was amazing, and also this thing, like you can go back to the prompts. That's awesome. Very very appreciated. And and to be honest, I haven't dig deeper on Slater as for now. So I think that was it. All
Yeah,
the
no,
those
that's
features.
that's absolutely fine. I just wondered, yeah, how you were using it and kind of what your thoughts were. Um, Something else to say that's quite helpful. If you go to the publish page, the blue button at the top um, of the screen, and then you'll be able to save to production or save to dev. So what's quite handy is that like you don't need to uh, see what it looks like on a live published site. You can just see the staging domain. So that's quite handy if you're working on a client project and you're like, okay, how does this look without actually pushing it live. So that's
Are
something
you
kind of helpful.
sorry? Are you talking about this, the save to dev?
Sorry, if you go down to scripts uh,
Okay.
below. Sorry, I directed you wrong. And then if you go get dev or productions, sorry, try that one more time. You see the script at the bottom? Yep, that one. And then
Oh,
if it
this
says
one.
get dev, yeah, that's the exact one. Yeah. So click that. And then we've got dev script or production script. So you can paste that uh, into the body copy of your project in Webflow, and then you can do that, which
Okay.
is quite handy. Um,
Nice. Good to know.
yeah, good to know. And then there's also a nice little feature to on the chat archive. So you see where it says clear chat where you were before, and then if you click chat archive, then it'll basically load up all the messages that you've got, and you can save particularly useful chats that you've had with Slater in here, which is good for the future if you want to refer back to them
Okay,
if
it's
they
taking its
eventually
time.
load.
I'm sure they'll show.
Yeah, not the best for
Yeah.
showing it off, guys.
Co-working space.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, we're
There it
there.
is. There it is.
Yeah. So it's just quite helpful to
I
have
have no
that full
idea what
view.
this is. Shake.
I think this is all your conversation with
Yeah,
Slater there. So
nice.
it's probably it's probably
Like the whole
loads and
thing?
loads of chatting. Yeah,
Wow.
all of the things in that string will be into here now. So hopefully that's helpful. Maybe it's not at all, and you can delete them if so. But yeah.
It's a little shameful. That's what it is. But no, it's fine.
Hey, you're allowed to ask anything to Slater because it'll just give you a straight answer, which is really nice. If only more humans were like Slater. No, I won't say that.
Right? Cool.
Yeah, but those are a couple of different things that if you're like, I wonder what that button does, that's a really, really handy little trick. Something else to say is that we're going to be adding a library feature to Slater. So essentially, people that are in the Slater community will be able to add their code to a database, and then you'll be able to just copy that straight across into your project. Currently working out the UI for that, but really, really excited for that feature because there's a big community element that's going to bring. And if people are sharing a lot of code, then obviously that will help other people in the community. So just to say that if you're like, Andrea, I wish I could see all this amazing code. Like, if only there was a place that there was a public database. If Andrea wants to share it with you, then that will soon be possible to be done.
That sounds really nice.
Yeah, it will be really good. Although my job is to design it with a guy called Kevin, which I desperately need to do. So that's not going to happen unless I do that. So yeah, I will get on that and get that done in the next week or so. Although luckily I'm not building it, so that's another question for another day. Does anyone from YouTube have any questions? I feel like, or Andrea, is there anything else that you want to add about this project or Slater or anything?
No, I think we covered it all. I mean, I could tell you all about my weird questions later and stuff. But no, we're good.
Do you want to tell us about that? I mean, unless they're
No,
a bit fruity, Andrea, I'm not sure I want to know.
no, I'm good. That's good. You just told me this awesome feature when I can just relive all my my awesome time with him. So I think that's enough.
Okay then. Well, yeah, we'll have to go back through the recording of this, and then we can have a read of all your crazy questions.
I'm gonna need to move quickly because I have I still have 40 minutes of battery.
Okay. All right. Well, we will wrap up before your laptop passes away. Looks like we don't have any other questions from Virginia or Martina. Martina says, "Yeah, share it." Do you want to quickly share some of the prompts that you gave us? Would that be okay? Martina is keen to see them if you do.
I will have to look through them, and that's gonna take us longer than my laptop's able to.
Virginia, you'll have to message her once she's charged her laptop, maybe, and then you can have a look.
I know her. She's just teasing me. So.
Oh, is she?
Yeah, she is.
Virginia in the co-working space. She's stolen your charger.
I can tell you all about that later with a beer.
Okay, Sounds like a plan. That's great. But Andrea, thanks so much for sharing your awesome project and the ins and outs behind it. It's really, really cool to see someone who, just dived into Slater, didn't necessarily know about how to use it or anything, but you just made something awesome and put loads of effort into it. You will be getting some Edgar Allan merch in the post, so stay tuned for that. Although I was gonna send you socks, but since it's so hot in Mexico, maybe I'll send you something else from the Edgar Allan merch instead. Or do you want
I've been
socks?
waiting all my life for some Edgar Allan socks, please.
Okay, well I'll send you socks. I just thought because if it's so hot in Mexico, maybe you're like, oh, I don't really,
I don't care.
prefer.
I
Okay,
love the socks.
socks. Okay, sweet. You got some socks coming your way. But yeah, thanks so much for submitting this amazing project. Speaking of amazing projects, we will be launching another competition very, very soon. So stay tuned for that. If someone else is watching who's like, Jack, I want some socks. I want to come on a live stream. I want to talk about my amazing prompts to Slater, then stay tuned because there will be more coming very, very soon. Andrea,
It's
thanks so
super
much
fun.
for coming on.
No, thank you for having me. This was really fun, and I wouldn't say I dive into Slater. I will say like I crashed into Slater,
Like a meteor.
just like the meteorite.
Yeah. Hey,
Yeah,
that's
guys.
great. You were on
No, thank you
brand.
so much for this. Thank you so much, and this was fun. And I'm not sure if I'm gonna join you for the next challenge. It will depend, but I totally encourage people to do it. It's amazing, and just try Slater. It's really, really helpful for us who do not code.
It is the world's coding knowledge at your fingertips. It is game changing. Dive into Slater if you haven't already, guys. If you want to get an invite code, send me a DM at Slater_app. If you're on the waiting list and you're like, I still haven't got a code, Jack, come on, send me a message. Send me an angry message and I will sort it out for you. But Andrea, thanks so much for coming on the Spotlight sessions, sharing your amazing work. Thanks to Virginia. Thanks to Martina. Virginia, you need to message Andrea later to see the amazing prompts and have a beer with her. But until next time, guys, thanks so much.
Bye.